Thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Under strange and unexplainable circumstances. Most cases remain unsolved. What happened? Where did they go? Locations unknown.
Thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Join us as we dive into the deep end of the unexplainable and try to piece together what happened. You are listening to Locations Unknown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locations Unknown. I'm your co-host, Joe Irado, and with me, as always, is a guy who would also have beat Mike Tyson in a boxing match, Mike Vandebogart.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you once again to all of our loyal listeners for tuning in. Just a couple announcements before we get going. We've got 2 new Patreon shoutouts, so thank you to Corinna Kyle and Willow Magic. So thank you for supporting the show.
Your support is magic.
Yeah. We appreciate it. We sound like broken records, but it's we have, nicer equipment and a studio and, all this stuff in part because of you. So thank you so much.
And we just got our Spotify Wrapped, and it shows it's working.
Yeah.
Because we have, I'm trying to pull up some of the numbers. Some of them are like pretty dang impressive. Our growth, how many new listeners we got. But the one that I like the most was, where was it? It was like how many people were that we were in their top 10.
Oh,
it was 7.8 thousand fans we had in the top 10.
Yeah.
And for 4,300, we are in the top 5.
There we go.
That's pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome. So
That's a huge thanks to all the patron supporters that help fund our growth and the professionalism of the show that allows us to get that big.
Absolutely. And if you want to call the show and leave a voicemail, you can call 208-391-6913. Anything you say will probably be used on a future show, so
will be used against you.
Yes. So yeah, if you like the show, hate the show, think we're idiots, give us a call. Also want to mention, check out our other shows on Unknown Media. So Peanut Butter and Mountain Podcast, Off the Trails, The Weirdos We Know, and now Who Runs This Park. We're currently in the process of getting that set up on the network, so stay tuned.
Yeah, start listening to her show now. But
you can listen to her show.
Fully under the network just yet, but
we're excited to have her.
Yep.
So, also, if you want to support the show, we've got many ways you can do that. Patreon, YouTube memberships, premium subscriptions on Apple. If cash is tight, always you can just give us a like, subscribe to the show, leave a review. Those things, while free, do help the show a lot. So
yes, absolutely.
Other than that, any updates from you?
No, sir. All right, everybody, let's gear up and get out to explore Locations Unknown. Australia's high country is as mysterious as it is stunning, with a history of unexplained disappearances, from experienced hikers to seasoned hunters. Each case leaves behind only unanswered questions. Adding to the intrigue is the legend of a reclusive bushman whose unsettling presence looms over the wilderness. These unsolved vanishings turn the high country's breathtaking beauty into an enigma that continues to baffle and haunt all who visit. Join us this week as we explore cold cases from the Victorian Alps.
So, real quick here before you get going on your spiel. We're covering a couple cases, cold case episodes. So I picked Alpine National Park as our location profile, but we'll also be talking about a different national park and then the wilderness area in between the parks. So quite a broad area in the state of Victoria, but we're going to focus the location on Alpine.
All right. Footnote. So Alpine National Park is 2,494 square miles. It's slightly smaller than Yellowstone National Park, for reference, which is at 3,472 square miles. It is located in the state of Victoria in Australia. Was established in 1989, so I am older than this park.
Yeah.
Visitors per year, we do not have the statistics because they're not publicly available because Australia is not as good as the United States. No, we just lost our 3 Australian listeners.
Yeah.
We have a couple of them, too.
Yeah.
One of them called and said I was good at the accent, so...
I was actually going to see if the listeners at home want to play a drinking game, take a shot every time Joe does a bad Australian impression.
Oh, no, I'm going to do none. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction. Archaeological evidence indicates that Aboriginal presence in the Australian Alps dates back at least 21,000 years, with sites like the Burigai near Namaji National Park revealing such early habitations. Additionally, Clogg's Cave in northeastern Victoria has yielded stone tools estimated to be 8,500 years old, further attesting to the long-standing connection of indigenous peoples to these alpine regions. In the early 1800s, European explorers and settlers began to enter the Alps, leading to significant changes in land use. Activities such as cattle grazing, mining, and logging became prevalent, impacting the natural environment and the traditional lifestyles of the indigenous populations. Over time, the recognition of the unique ecological and cultural value of the alpine region led to conservation efforts. So here's some interesting facts about Australia. It is an ancient landmass. Australia is considered the world's oldest continent, with geological formations dating back approximately 4.5 billion years.
It's pretty old.
That's pretty old. It's separated from the supercontinent Gondwana around 96 million years ago, leading to its unique biodiversity. The Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest coral reef system, spanning over 132,974 square miles. It is visible from space. It's one of the 7 natural wonders of the world and UNESCO World Heritage Site.
I'd love to visit that someday.
I want to dive that because I want to go climb the mountain, because the tallest mountain in Australia is like 8,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get one of the tallest mountains on the continent in like a day hike.
Yeah.
And then I want to go scuba dive the Great Barrier Reef. So that's on my bucket list. It has a vast coastline, if you can imagine. Approximately 10,685 beaches. Visiting a new one each day would take you over 29 years. So Australia's extensive coastline stretches about 16,007 miles, offering diverse marine environments. Indigenous heritage, it's home to the world's oldest continuous cultures. Aboriginal Australians have inhabited the continent for over 65,000 years, contributing rich traditions and knowledge systems. It does have unique fauna. Australia is the only continent where monotremes, egg-laying mammals like the platypus and echidna are found. Additionally, it's home to 21 of the world's 25 most venomous snakes.
This one was interesting. I had no clue this was.
I saw this pop up and I was like, that doesn't sound in place.
Yeah.
The camel population. So Australia hosts the world's largest population of feral camels, estimated at 1.2 million. Originally imported for transportation and construction in the 19th century, they now roam freely across vast areas. I feel like most of the animals in Australia were brought in.
Yeah.
And it unintentionally just said, like, this environment's perfect for breeding.
Yeah.
And just
Or
run amok.
like these animals make good like pack animals, but then like something happened, they got loose. And
Yeah, a guy lets a couple of them go, and then all of a sudden they're just
now
everywhere.
there's a million of them.
Yes. Nuclear tests. Between 1952 and 1963, the British government conducted nuclear tests at sites like Maralinga and Emu Field in South Australia, leading to significant environmental and health impacts, if you could imagine.
I can't imagine.
Some in-depth descriptions about Australia's climate. So Alpine National Park exhibits a diverse climate influenced by its varying elevations and rugged terrain. The park's climate can be categorized into 3 distinct zones. A subalpine zone, which is situated below the tree line. This zone experiences cool temperatures year-round. Summers are mild with an average temperature around 50 degrees, while winters are cold, often accompanied by snowfall. This zone supports forests primarily composed of conifers above 3,900 feet to 4,593 feet. There is the alpine zone. This is above the tree line. This zone is characterized by treeless landscapes with alpine meadows and grasslands. Summers are short and cool with average temperatures near 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Winters are long and harsh with substantial snowfall. The growing season is brief, typically ranging from 45 to 90 days. And then we have the glacial zone. It's at the highest elevation. This zone is marked by permanent snow and ice. Temperatures remain low throughout the year, and the area is subject to strong winds and significant snow accumulation. Overall, the park experiences a cool to cold climate with temperatures decreasing and precipitation increasing with elevation. Snowfall is common in the higher regions, especially during the winter months, making parts of the park popular for winter sports. However, rapid weather changes are common and visitors should prepare for varying conditions. A little bit about the terrain. So the park features diverse terrain shaped by its alpine and subalpine environments. It encompasses the state's highest peaks, including Mount Bogong at 6,515 feet and Mount Feathertop at 6,306 feet, often rugged mountain landscapes. Between these peaks lie expansive plateaus like the Bogong High Plains, characterized by rolling glasslands and heathlands.
Grasslands.
I said grasslands.
Said glasslands.
Oh, really? No, I didn't. The park's elevation ranges from approximately 1,929 feet to over 6,561 feet, resulting in varied topography that includes steep slopes, river valleys, and alpine meadows. So some of the dangers, a dingo, introduced in Australia around 4,000 years ago. Dingoes are apex predators in the region, preying on various mammals, birds, and reptiles. And I'm not going to say the line. I know you're waiting for it. I know you are. I'm holding back. It's causing you pain and agony.
Shouldn't have said anything.
At the end of the episode, I'm just going to vomit. Just Australian sayings. Like after the music plays, I'm just going to just say a bunch of stuff. Red foxes, common wombat, eastern gray kangaroos, broad-toothed rats. The park, here's some tips for hiking safely. The park offers a diverse range of hiking experiences, accommodating both a casual walker and a seasoned adventurer. The park's varied terrain includes gentle alpine meadows, rugged mountain peaks, and expansive plateaus, each presenting unique challenges and rewards. So the easy to moderate room with a view track. This short trail is near the Dinner Plain, leads through lush alpine terrain, snow gums, culminating in a scenic lookout. The path includes a loop that can be taken in either direction, with recommended clockwise route to tackle the steepest section uphill. A bench at the lookout provides a spot to rest and enjoy the views. An example of a challenging trek would be the Mount Bogong via Staircase Spur Trek. The ascent to Victoria's highest peak, Mount Bogong, is demanding. The Staircase Spur Trek is a steep and strenuous climb covering approximately 10.8-mile route trip with an elevation gain of 4,790 feet. Hikers are rewarded with spectacular alpine landscapes at the summit. And the last one for the example is called the Viking Circuit. This is a 25.5-mile loop which traverses diverse landscapes from well-marked tracks to rugged wilderness. Some of the notable landmarks include the Crosscut Saw, Mount Buggery, the Horrible Gap, Mount Despair, the Viking, and Mount Speculation.
I want to hike that just because of the names.
Just so you can go from the Buggery to the Gap to Despair to the Viking to Speculation.
Yeah.
The circuit is rated a grade 5, requiring solid navigation skills and testing endurance and skill. So, tips for the safe hike: check the weather conditions. This doesn't even apply just to Australia, but the park's alpine environment can lead to rapid weather changes, including sudden temperature drops and storms. Always check the forecast before your hike and be prepared for unexpected conditions. You want to choose the appropriate trails. So trails vary from easy walks to challenging routes, like the Mount Bogong circuit. That one spans 56.5 kilometers with significant elevation changes. Select the trails that match your fitness and experience levels. You want to wear proper footwear. Because it's rocky and uneven, you want sturdy hiking boots with good ankle support is essential for preventing injuries.
And toe socks.
Toe socks with socks over the top.
Yeah.
That is like,
That'll save
you know what? Here's the deal with that. Every time I go hiking
Yeah.
and I start to do that, I feel dumb doing it.
I do too.
Every time I'm just like, this doesn't work. And then I do it anyway, and it works every time. But for whatever reason, when I'm doing it, I just get mad at myself that I'm putting on 2 pairs of socks.
We need to get sponsored by toe socks, whoever makes them.
No, we need to like make a toe sock that is over encapsulated with another sock, but it's all in one sock.
That sounds like a mess if they get like...
Because it just has to cover the toes. It doesn't have to do the whole foot.
They probably have that.
They probably don't.
Well, there you go.
This is how we're going to make our money.
Well, not anymore. You've told
this
everyone.
Weird sock.
We'll cut it out.
No, we won't. Navigation tools. Back to all the things you need. While most of the trails are well marked, some areas may lack clear signage. So you want to have a map, a compass, or a GPS device and ensure that you know how to use them. I always say, even if you have GPS, bring a map and a compass. They weigh nothing.
Kind of learn how to use a compass, just like the basic skill of it.
Yeah. They weigh nothing, and they never run out of batteries. You want to also just pack your essential gear. So you're going to include things like a first aid kit, sufficient water, snacks for energy, headlamps, emergency shelter, and blanket. Even on the day hikes, I always see those memes where people are like, oh, the trail that my daughter did in her flip-flops, I saw a guy with a backpack and a walking stick. It's like, yeah, that's correct, and you're both okay, except that one person's not taking as much risk as you are.
Yeah.
And lastly, you want to inform others of your plans. So share the itinerary with a trusted person and establish check-in times. Call our number, let us know. We'll get to the message months later. This practice enhances safety, especially on long or less traveled trails. Mike, tell us about one of the characters of our story, please.
So, yeah, unlike our normal cases where we focus on one subject, this episode is a cold case episode. So I've got several cases from this area that we're going to talk about. And the first thing I want to talk about is the Button Man, because he's going to come up.
Who's the Button Man?
Who's the Button Man? He's going to come up in some of the cases.
How about you wait until it comes up and not give it away before you tell the story?
I'm not giving
you. This is like the accountant of you.
All right, I'm gonna stop.
You like talking about it at a time.
Stop. We could do a whole episode on the Button Man. This is not giving away anything about the Button Man, and I don't want to interrupt the flow of the cases.
All right.
So, basically, the Button Man is a regular visitor who disappears into the mountains for months, known as Buttons or the Button Man. He's a rugged, expert bushman who earned his
So it's a
nickname
real
from-
person.
It's a real person.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was like a mysterious legend of the area. No.
No.
It's a guy.
It's a real person.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You're really making a lot out of this Button Man.
Well, he's an interesting character. I need to know everything about the Button Man.
So,
Do you know the Button Man?
I'm not personally. I know about him though.
I'm doing a shtick off of the Muffin Man, but go on.
Oh. I say, audience, you can drink for that one.
That wasn't even in an accent.
So he's a rugged, expert bushman who earned his nickname from his habit of using deer antlers to make buttons and create large plugs for his ear piercings. He is reported to camp on the side of a remote mountain that lets him see anyone approaching. He uses snares to catch deer and hunts with expertly crafted indigenous-style spears, which the Aborigines have used for generations. Many campers and hunters have stories of the Button Man approaching them at campsites once it gets dark, creeping up on them like a ghost. He is around 7 years of age with short gray hair, wearing dark jackets, and those encounters, people describe them as bloody, scary, and spooky. But only a few report any threats or actual violence. He questions visitors about why they are in his vicinity, but rarely responds to questions about himself. They say he moves through the most challenging terrain with the competence and stamina of someone half his age. So, very interesting character. He'll come up in a couple of these cases. Real person. I tried to find pictures of him on the internet, and I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like seeing ones that I can't tell if it's actually him.
Yeah.
How old is he?
70.
I keep seeing this gentleman pop up.
No, these are all the people from the cases we're going to talk about.
Oh, okay.
So, and I do have some pictures on the drive that you can pull up while we're going. So,
all right, you asked for it, and I got some
here,
photos
his
of the
name is
button man to show
Meyer.
you. Before I show you, I just want to say I've had so many people send me their strange. Yeah, these follow Johnny on Instagram and TikTok because he's got a lot of stuff that will full permission. As a red cruiser, exactly like very close to him, very behind him, and like I said, I've ever been shown of one of the first photos I've ever been shown of the button man.
Occupation, he ran a successful civil engineering consultancy business in Elwood and had been planning for retirement. So the location of where he went missing was the Dam Dam Saddle in Fernshaw, which is located in the Yarra Ranges National Park. He went missing on March 23rd of 2008. So our timeline starts on the 23rd of 2008 at about 7:45 a.m. Warren left for his walk. Weather was good.
Oh, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, that's kind of the area where
Holy
Warren went
cow.
missing. So,
That is beautiful.
yeah. Are you
Look
sharing the screen?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am. Let me make sure. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, those trees are massive.
Yeah.
They're like thin and tall.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, Warren that morning left a holiday cabin that he was staying in with his wife, Zanette. His plan was to drive the short 15-minute drive up to Black Spur to Dam Dam Saddle, park his car, and go for a 3 to 4 hour hike before returning to the cabin and join his wife and friends for a scheduled lunch. The exact track he took remains a matter of some conjecture, but both hikes were simple and should have been completed in about 4 hours. So he was pretty well equipped. He had a GPS, fully charged cell phone, maps, compass, and whistle. He was also described as a hiker who wouldn't wander off the track, and if he did, perhaps to go to the bathroom, his pack would be placed on the track at the point of entry until his return. So it's same day, so March 23rd of 2008. It's in the afternoon. So when he failed to show up for his scheduled lunch, his car was found parked and locked in the Dam Dam Saddle car park on the Black Spur near Narberthong, Victoria. So now the search kicks off. He's reported missing. So the subsequent search for Warren was massive, involving all the resources Victoria Police Search and Rescue could muster, including local volunteers from Bush Search and Rescue Victoria, who tramped the bush in often demanding conditions. They also had aircraft in the air for several days. They walked the tracks and line searched the heavy bush, but sadly they found nothing. Subsequent information became available as who was in the bush that day when Warren was there. So this is a very interesting. So reliable information was provided by several locals, including a witness known as a responsible and very experienced hunter. These witnesses described what they referred to as out-of-control shooting coming from the vicinity of Munda Track near its junction with the Old Coach Road. The shooting was described as about 200 rapid-fire, high-powered rifle shots occurring over a 2-hour period on late Sunday afternoon of March 22nd, with another period of rapid bursts of similar quantity gunfire occurring on Sunday, March 23rd, commencing at about 8:20 a.m. and concluding abruptly around 9 a.m., which is within the approximate time frame that Warren would have been at the location, presuming he hiked when he was expected to. There was also an escaped involuntary psychiatric patient with homicidal thoughts that was found roaming near the track where Warren had been hiking. So we had weird rapid-fire, high-powered rifle gunshots for almost an hour in the vicinity where he started hiking. And then we have an escaped psychiatric patient that's homicidal.
Yeah, that's
that was
wild.
found just roaming the wilderness. So, a lot
That's
going
pretty
on.
far away to be like just wandering around.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot going on that morning. He decided to go hiking, but police ended up ruling both the gunfire noises and the escapee. They ruled out both the gunfire noises and the escapee as probable causes due to insufficient evidence. And then, sadly, the patient, Anthony Williams, died in 2009, so he's no longer with us as well.
The guy who's wandering around.
The psychiatric patient. So there's really, I don't know how much you could question someone in that state of mind.
I was going to say, how reliable is that going to be?
But it doesn't even matter because he passed away. So at the time, searchers also noted that there were a large number of marijuana crops in the bush at that time, some showing signs of recent harvesting. So people speculated that maybe some kind of foul play happened because of the marijuana crops in the area. So we don't know.
You'd imagine those types of people would probably carry guns that can, like semi or fully automatic weapons.
Yeah. So despite being investigated by local police, the missing persons unit and homicide squad, no trace of him has ever been found. So we now fast forward to December 17th of 2017. So despite the attention the disappearance garnered, the case went cold. So several years, 2008 to 2017, a lot of searches happened, but nothing was really found. Then in December 2017, coroner John Ollie concluded that Mr. Meyer had died of unknown causes and that no further investigation was required. So similar to a lot of other cases we've covered, the families usually or oftentimes feel like law enforcement didn't do enough or messed things up, and that's not different in this case. So throughout this entire investigation, the family felt law enforcement and the coroner failed them. So among their concerns were the lack of a singular point of contact within the force, the risk assessment used by the police to classify missing persons, the ad hoc way such cases were investigated, and the procedural impracticalities of having a loved one go missing, which police seemed ill-equipped to help families navigate. So they had a lot of problems with this investigation. And aside from there being no recommendations from police or indeed even a detailed analysis about their response, there appeared to be several elements of the case which had been brushed over, the family felt. And this was kind of a quote from the family. So Mr. Ali spent more time investigating clear red herrings such as the supposed Italy sighting and the fantastical confession of a Beechworth prison inmate who claimed Mr. Meyer had been killed in crossfire between rival drug dealers and was buried, rather than the reputable reports of landowners about gunfire the morning he went hiking. So it's a lot of people in the family feel like there was foul play involved, but the law enforcement kind of, in their eyes, just brushed that over and said, well, he's missing. We don't know what happened to him. Can't find him.
So they're saying they did or did not investigate like the gunfire and
the family seems to think they didn't investigate it thoroughly enough.
Oh,
or
okay.
properly.
I thought you made it sound like they're saying like they wasted time on that. I'm like, I thought that was like a good theory.
No, there was a
Okay.
different theory where he was caught in the crossfire between drug dealers that an inmate had told authorities.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
but not related to the gunfire. A different.
Yeah.
So it's strange.
So maybe that was like one of his conditions. Like he got it right, but the timing was wrong.
Maybe. I don't know. So published in 2022, the family had a private investigator reanalyze the case. His name was Valentine Smith, and these are direct quotes from him about the case of Warren. So he writes, "There are some who believe that Mr. Meyer had a heart attack or died because of some other natural cause. While most things are possible, there is no evidence or information to suggest death by misadventure. On the contrary, there were, however, several identified risks to Mr. Meyer on that Easter Sunday in 2008 that are linked to human intervention." He goes on to say, "I considered everything, analyzed every element an entity in the bush environment at the time of Warren's disappearance and profiled his known behaviors, skills, and personality. There was no information, intelligence, or evidence that strengthened the probability of natural misadventure over that of human intervention. He finally states, "It must be understood that the findings of my review were based on known information and evidence and on the balance of probabilities and focused on two scenarios, that of either natural misadventure or human intervention. In reviewing all the information available, my findings highlighted a greater degree of risk of human intervention. Therefore, on the balance of probabilities, that is the most likely influence on Warren Meyer's disappearance." So it feels like I read a contract. I feel like that could have been summarized a little more concise. But basically, the private investigator came to the conclusion that something foul play related happened to Warren, that he didn't just, have a heart attack or wander off. There were too many weird things going on in the woods that morning to just write off, this is just one of your run-of-the-mill disappearances.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like if you're like the one normal person around that day and all that stuff's happening, just get in your car and go.
Yeah, right?
Just like, hey, we can hike tomorrow.
I'll hike tomorrow. He probably didn't know the crazy guy was, like, lurking around in the woods. Right? But, I mean, if
gunfire, escaped mental asylum patients.
Yeah, I mean, if I pulled up to a remote parking spot to go hiking and I heard, like, an hour of high-powered rapid fire from, like, a high-powered rifle, I'd probably leave.
Like, probably.
Probably. I would be a little curious what's going on.
Maybe not.
But, so, real quickly, we'll just kind of do theories and then move on to the next one. What do you think happened to Mr. Meyer?
I think he stumbled upon a grow operation.
And
if it's a legit grow operation, that why wouldn't they take him out and deal with it? And my deep end, which is tied to that, is that I'm thinking it's kind of like the Emerald Triangle in California, where the police all know stuff's going on up there and they kind of just don't deal with it. I wonder if that's like a thing, like if it's a significant grow operation where they have high-powered rifles, maybe the cops just stay out of it.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, oh, it's not that. And they're just not willing to risk it going in and messing with it. And that's my off the deep end of that. But I definitely think that.
You don't think the psychiatric guy that was homicidal had anything to do with it?
No.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards something.
I don't know why either. Because, like, that'd be a good lead. Like you're saying, right. Like, I honestly, like, my gut's saying no.
Yeah.
And maybe I just don't want it to be that for some reason. But yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this guy was very experienced all the different places he's hiked. It doesn't seem he had a GPS, he had a compass map, he had all the gear, and it sounds like he knew how to use it. And he's hiked, in this area before, like him getting lost.
Yeah, this is the car park where it says his car was.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not like it's rugged-ish, but it's not, like, crazy. It looks like just kind of like a public park.
And he was doing an easy, like, half-a-day hike that he wanted to be back to his car by lunch. So,
yeah,
I'm leaning towards some kind of foul play.
Yeah, I definitely think it was foul play for sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's roads everywhere. Like, look at this. Okay, so let's suppose this. He's in this area. You can go in any direction, and in a few miles, you'll hit a road.
Yeah.
So it's not like he can, like, the farthest he could go would be this way, which is south. And even then, there's a road down there. It's not like complete open wilderness. So,
yeah.
Now I'm wondering where they found this grow operation, because it doesn't seem like it's too remote. Huh.
I mean, zoom out. How far away is it from Melbourne? Keep going.
Oh, Melbourne.
Yeah. It's
right
north
here.
of Melbourne. So, I mean,
is that north?
Maybe not. I forgot where.
It's like northeast.
Northeast.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think it's foul play.
Yeah, I'm leaning foul play on this one. I'm with the family and the private investigator. I think for whatever reason, law enforcement, maybe they had a conclusion that, like, they had an outcome they investigated too, and it wasn't foul play. So
I think
at
that-
least that's what the family is saying.
I'm off the deep ending this. I think they're in on it. Not in on it, but like kind of we don't mess with whoever's growing up there.
Like, we just
so,
leave them alone and let them
yeah,
grow. And
like, oh, he must have got lost. Like we're not stepping into that.
we're not getting shot too.
Like that's what I'm saying. I'm not necessarily saying they're in on it, but maybe it is like
It's like in a city, like you go to like a pizza shop and they have a map up, and there's spots where they won't let their delivery drivers go
yeah.
because it's dangerous for the drivers. Is it kind of something like that? Like
I don't know. That's a bad example.
I mean, go to
I think about like when the mob ran New York, and like some of the cops might have been in on it, but some of them were just like, oh, we just don't do like they'll take care of the neighborhood, and they kind of stay out of it.
yeah. Well,
I think these
now we're
are
just,
all
like,
bad
really
examples.
speculating.
Yeah, I know, right?
It was foul play. That's my theory.
Yep.
All
Let's,
right.
let's go back
Let's
to
just
foul
move on.
play.
Okay.
We're gonna lose all of our Spotify crud.
So I had one case here, a gentleman named David Prideaux. Due to time constraints, so our episode doesn't go 3 hours, I'm going to skip that one. There's enough that at some point we'll probably do a full episode on him. So
All right.
our next case is a gentleman by the name of Conrad Whitlock. He was age 72. He experienced occupation or unknown. Location that he went missing in was kind of just the high country between Yarra and Alpine National Park. So high country, for those not from Australia, which is most of the listeners, is basically kind of like alpine wilderness areas in certain parts of Australia. So this area he went missing in is kind of just like the high country in between those parks. He went missing on July 29th of 2019. So
He kind of looks like John Lithgow.
a little bit, but I mean,
It's like a recurring name on this show for some reason.
not Lithgow. We got the guy who played the octopus in Spider-Man wrong, or I did.
Yeah, you got that wrong, but this guy.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
he does kind of look like him.
A little bit. I
A
remember
little.
him from Dexter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of
A little bit.
That's pretty dang close. He's the Australian John Lithgow. He's if you bought John Lithgow on Temu.
What is Timu?
It's like really cheap stuff from China.
Oh.
Like you can buy like, oh, you wanted this like fan that's normally $80, you can get it for $1. And it's gonna come in like 3 months,
And
maybe.
It works for a day.
I don't know. It could be like a really good product, or it could be bad. It's like rolling the dice.
You learn something every
You know,
day.
you know the Wish.
Yeah, I've heard of Wish.
It's kind of like a Wish.
Okay.
It's like looks better than Wish.
So you order it like directly from Shanghai. It takes a month to get here.
Maybe, I don't know, wherever it comes from, but that's what,
Okay.
Yeah, he's the Temu John Lithgow.
Timu John Lithgow. All right. Well,
That's for our non-visual listeners.
with that little nugget of information behind us, I will move back to the timeline.
Good call.
You're like I've been watching a lot of basketball. You're like the color commentary on a basketball game where you got the guy doing the play-by-play, and then you got the other guy just like adding in just weird stories that have nothing to do with basketball.
My goal in life is to be the John Madden of podcasting.
Well, you got some big shoes to fill.
I
there.
know.
Yeah, we just got done with Thanksgiving, and a lot of football was talking about Madden and the turducken.
Yeah, I can't be John Madden. I got to be a different version.
You know what
Just
a turducken is, right?
Yeah, turkey or duck inside of a turkey inside of a
Duck inside of a
chicken.
goose.
Oh, a goose. I thought it was
I
a
think
duck,
it's a
chicken,
duck
and a turkey.
inside of a goose inside of a turkey. There might be a chicken in there too.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like
it's
every
a bunch of things.
every bird you can eat. So-
also stuffed inside of each other.
all right, wow. We'll cut all that out.
No, we won't.
So our timeline starts on July 28th of 2019. It's 11:30 on a Sunday. Conrad's wife, Mandy Whitlock, says the day before her husband went missing, the pair went for their usual Sunday lunch at a restaurant. They met their children in Melbourne, both kids who had migrated to Australia from the UK with their families. Conrad and his wife had been married for over 50 years at the time of his disappearance. For much of their working lives, they ran businesses together. The pair also loved adventure, so for 20 years, they headed up to Mount Buller every weekend of the ski season before they turned to car racing. So, very adventurous couple. Conrad was last seen by his wife as they got into bed around 11:30 p.m. When they went to bed that night, Conrad warned his wife he might be out of the house before she woke, which his wife said was not unusual. He was an early riser. He usually would like to get up early and start his work day, before a lot of other people got out of bed. So it is now July 29th. It's 3 a.m. The timeline is between 3 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. on a Monday. So when Mandy woke the next morning, she noticed she was alone, but she didn't worry. She thought she knew where her husband was. She believes he got up at around 3 a.m. and left. So for a while now, Conrad had been battling a persistent headache, and his doctor had said he needed to do a scan. So he couldn't get an appointment until Tuesday, but Conrad told Mandy he'd go in early on the Monday and see if any spots had opened up. So that day, during the day, she was with an accountant all day working on end-of-year financials for their business. So throughout the day, Mandy left messages on Conrad's phone a couple of times and checked if he was at the factory. In the afternoon, when she hadn't heard from her husband, she rang the medical center, but was told Conrad hadn't been there that day. Mandy then spoke to their business manager, who said he would try to track Conrad's phone using an app. So he called back and said, it is nearly at Mount Bueller. And this is when she knew something was wrong. So a search and investigation started pretty quickly. So you're pulling up.
I'm trying to find stuff. And I'm not showing it yet.
Okay. So Conrad's white BMW was found on the side of Mount Bueller Road at a spot called Unnamed Corner. In the car was his jacket, cell phone, and keys. The road his car was found on had been, so his wife had said, Conrad had probably driven this road hundreds of times in his life. So very familiar with this road. He wouldn't have, if you've driven a road hundreds of times, you could probably drive it blindfolded. You know it so well. So, and it is a windy road looking at it on the map here.
Yeah, it just goes up to the top of that mountain.
What city is that? Doesn't say.
Yeah, it's really small. It's by Mansfield. It's outside of Mansfield, but
okay.
I think this is more like a shopping section and like maybe a touristy. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a ski lodge.
Okay. Well,
this area looks cool.
So interesting with this case, where police were able to use cameras all over, like the road cameras, to trace Conrad's movements. So they had video of him leaving the estate where the couple lived at 3 a.m. until he drove through the Mount Bueller ticket point at 6 a.m. After that, police relied on dash cam footage from passing cars. Mandy says he was sighted until his car pulled over at about 6:30 a.m. Then there was a 10 or 15 minute gap where no cars went past him. So those 10 or 15 minutes are crucial, because when the next car went past Conrad's car, he was gone. So we have video of him at the side of the road in his car at 6:30, 10 to 15 minutes later, gone. So very interesting. Victorian Police Inspector David Brown said officers found the car in working condition and with Whitlock's, like I said, jacket, mobile phone, and car keys inside. They were quoted as saying, "At the moment, there is nothing to indicate a reason for the vehicle to have stopped. The vehicle had the keys with it. It started. It had fuel. So as to say why Mr. Whitlock has gone away from the vehicle at this stage, we simply don't know." So searchers went over the area. Searchers went over and over the area around the car, but didn't find a trace of Conrad. They also searched the nearby river, but found nothing. The wife dismissed foul play as the business was going fine, and police didn't find anything of note on his computer or cell phone. She thinks his disappearance has something to do with his headaches and that he must have had a medical emergency. So this case remains unsolved to this day. Very bizarre. Successful businessman with, on the outside, a great life, just drove up into the woods early in the morning and just left. And they never found anything.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So what's your quick theory here before we move on to the next case?
I don't know, because like I'm gonna go back to that other picture. Not that one. That guy. It's like pulled off on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of the reasons he would do that. So this road's, pretty windy. I couldn't find the exact spot, but it's very rugged around it.
Yeah.
So if he's having a medical emergency, I feel like he'd be near his car.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that. It's pulled off.
Do you think that maybe, so he had these weird headaches, do you think he maybe knew more about what was going on? Maybe he had like an incurable brain tumor or something, and maybe it progressed to the point where it was causing him to not maybe think properly.
I feel like that'd be super off the deep end, personally.
All right, well, then this is my off the deep end. Maybe what he did was he knew he had a really incurable brain tumor or something like that. He didn't tell his wife, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to go out in the woods doing what I love instead of, rotting away in a hospital bed. I don't know. That's my off the deep end. I can't think of anything else why this would happen. What do you think?
So here's a picture from the dash cam.
Car's not damaged. It had fuel in it.
Like he parked there.
Left his keys in it.
Yeah, he must have seen something.
And they searched all around, so you could say, like, well, maybe he got out to go to the bathroom and fell. They would have found him.
Yeah, and it's so unlikely that, like, he was kidnapped, like he got picked up.
And they said there was a spot not very far from where the car was found that he could have gone to the bathroom in, and he would have known of that. So why would he stop, like, a couple miles before there?
Okay, so... well,
unless you really had to go.
I was going to say, like, what if, he went to go off into the woods to go to the bathroom and got injured, and they just didn't find him for some reason?
I mean,
it doesn't make sense.
They searched, like, extensively around the car. And you think, like, if he fell, he would, be 50 feet from the car, they'd find him.
The off the deep end would be maybe there's some form of road rage or something, and then he pulled off and he was getting in an altercation with somebody, and then
they didn't make any mention of a scene, like a struggle or anything. Like,
see, that's what, like, maybe he walked out of the car, he's yelling at a guy, and
maybe
the guy punches him. I'm going full off deep end. Punches him, falls over. He's older, hits his head, and then he loads him in his car and drives away, and he's got to deal with it.
I mean, that is deep end.
That's super deep end, but it also, like, what else?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I said maybe he had some kind of incurable cancer or something with his brain, and he he decided to go out on his own terms. So
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. This is a very puzzling one. Like I said, it's unsolved to this day. Didn't happen that long ago, actually. So, very interesting case.
We just got a bunch of new followers on Facebook. That's what that was.
That clicking?
Yeah, I was flipping through. All right. Hey, welcome.
Hey, welcome. All right. So, moving on to our final case of this cold case episode. So, subject of this final case is Niels Becker. He was age 39. He was an experienced bushwalker. Occupation unknown. He went missing in Alpine National Park, and he went missing on October 24th of 2019. So Niels was on a solo 5-day hike, which he had spent 6 months training for, taking long hikes with heavy packs. He was well equipped, according to authorities, and was very familiar with the area. He had a cell phone with him and shared his plans with his family, so he's doing all the right things.
He did all the right things.
And this was going to be a birthday present to himself because he was turning 40 soon. So it's, like I said, October 24th, 2019. This is when he left his home for his hike. Niels started at Upper Jameson Hut, south of Mount Bueller, and then hiked to Vallejo, Gantner Hut, which was his last known location. They speculate Niels would have followed the AAWT, one of the premier long-distance hikes in Australia. The track follows the Australian Alps from Victoria all the way to the ACT. It's now October 26th of 2019. This is when he texted his family from the Vallejo Gantner hut.
So he hiked from that first place to that other place?
Yeah.
That was really far.
Yeah, it said it took him about 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
So you got the Vallejo hut, and then where was the first hut? Upper Jameson hut.
Yeah, I wish I could do a thing, but here, watch. So you saw where that was?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's a hike.
Yeah, that was not okay. And he got there in 2 days. So
2 or 3 days, yeah.
he's experienced hiking. Like
Yeah.
that's not easy terrain to cover in that amount of time.
Yeah, so like I said, October 26th of 2019, he texted his family from Vallejo hut that he would head to Mount Sterling before looping back to his car on October 29th. So a little backstory about the Vallejo hut. It was built in the early 1970s to honor Vallejo Gantner, the grandson of businessman Sidney Meyer. Vallejo was an art student at Monash University and just 19 years old when he was killed in a shooting accident in the Victorian High Country in 1962. So this hut was built in his honor, and I had a couple pictures of the hut in the drive.
You do not.
I do not. Okay.
I'll have it.
We'll cut that too. A lot of cutting tonight.
We're not going to.
So the hut was built as a place to shelter and a memorial to the young man who loved the mountains and lost his life too soon. So an interesting, just a little side story on the hut. These are, sometimes in national parks you'll find little structures that you can night over in. When we were hiking in Hawaii, there was a little like cabin at the top of the mountain that we stayed the night in. So it's kind of one of those things. So it's now October 27th of 2019. So Senior Sergeant Keegan believes something happened to Niels on the 4th day of his hike after he sent the text to his family. He goes on to say that Niels planned to leave the AAWT that day and follow a smaller track to Mount Sterling. Sergeant Keegan believes Niels may have delayed the start of his 4th day because of poor weather and then had to cram a long, difficult walk into fewer hours of daylight. So this could have affected Niels' ability to distinguish walking paths from a track formed by deer, wombats, or wild dogs. The police officers don't think Niels made it to the end of his hike on the 4th day. So they believe something happened to him on the 4th day. He says the spot Niels intended to camp on his 4th night was close to Mount Buller and has phone reception. So they figured he would have probably texted his family again if he had made it to that spot. So here's where the Button Man comes into play. So the last confirmed sighting of Niels was by the Button Man, who told police he saw him near his area. The track took him past the Button Man's camp. This is not surprising, as his camp is at the spot known as Crossroads, where bushwalkers in the know head because it's one of the few places with good radio reception. So police had a pretty massive search out there for him. They had over 70 people in the area searching. They didn't find anything. Much of the police presence was focused on an area of about 7,000 square kilometers around Mount Sterling. The searchers also went back to the beginning of Niels' journey, retracing his trip along the AAWT on foot. They were hoping to find maybe a food wrapper, a hat, or a piece of clothing belonging to him, or another hiker who saw him after he left Vallejo Gantner hut. But Sergeant Keegan said police had few theories about what happened to Becker. There were some very cold nights, hypothermia may have kicked in, but he may very well have walked out of the search area, or perhaps foul play or something maybe more mysterious was involved. So, and again, this case, unsolved. And I think of the 3 cases we've talked about, this one, to me, logically, it sounds like weather was poor. He may have rushed that 4th day And it sounds like the trails aren't well marked, and he may have walked down, like what he said, like something from a wild animal instead of the actual trail and got lost. And it's such a vast, rugged area. Like we've said in a lot of different cases, it would, 70 searchers is a lot.
Yeah.
But when you're like, if you're watching this on video, you can see how massive and rugged this area is.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is where you can get lost. There's no...
What is your phrase you say? A needle in a stack of needles?
Yeah, needle and a stack of needles.
Yeah.
Yeah, this, especially with the ground he was covering,
Yeah.
he could be anywhere.
Yeah. So,
I mean, that's where he started. That's where he was going. He went way out over here.
yep.
It's quite literally the middle of nowhere. Like, it looks like there is, trails
Yeah.
for things running, like ATVs. There's a 4-wheel drive track.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like there's no cities. There's like campsites and stuff that you can go to. So it's all connected, but it's super wilderness.
Yeah. I think in this one, I think he got lost. He sadly probably took the wrong trail. And like the law enforcement officer said, yeah, look at that.
Holy crap.
That's
I mean,
rugged.
it's gorgeous.
And it looks desolate.
It's super, it's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Wow. I totally want to hike here.
Right? Yeah, so I think he probably, like the law enforcement said, he hiked out of the search area and then succumbed to, natural, hypothermia or a fall.
Yeah.
And I think it's just such a remote place they didn't find him. I don't know, what's your theory?
I'm with you on that one. So, like, yeah, this is a road that goes through. You can tell it's just a dirt trail.
Yeah.
There's not many trees. Like, that's all it's covered with.
Yeah.
If you see those going everywhere.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that he just got lost and rushed it and just made a mistake.
Yeah.
And even if you're a great bushwalker and you do all that, like, you're not immune to error.
Yeah.
You're human.
So, yeah, those are the 3 cases that I found, all kind of in the same area. Varying degrees of mysterious. The one with the BMW is really puzzling.
That one's, I don't get that. That one just hurts my head to think about.
Yeah. There's like no plausible reason. The first one, you had the psychiatric, patient who was homicidal, and you had strange gunfire. That one, and you have a private investigator and the family all thinking foul play was involved.
I think of all 3, that one seems like we're the closest to.
Yeah.
The second one being this most recent one, and the last one, I've no clue.
Yeah.
Just zero idea.
Yeah. So, let us know what you think about these cases and your theories. We're puzzled.
Yep.
At least with the middle one, the one with the
color
car.
me puzzled.
Color me puzzled. We made it through an entire Australian episode without any accents from Joe.
Yeah, that's just to bug the crap out of you.
Sure, you don't want to drop one now?
It might be at the end. Who
Okay.
knows? You have to wait.
You have to wait.
No, but thanks again for tuning into our show. We appreciate all of you for listening and sharing Locations Unknown with your friends and family. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, where you can find videos of each episode. Also, if you'd like to support the show monetarily, please visit our website or Facebook store to buy some sweet, sweet swag. You can also subscribe to our Patreon account on YouTube, on Apple subscriptions. Anywhere where you subscribe, you'll be having access to additional shows as well as swag we'll send you occasionally in the mail. Lastly, when enjoying the beauty of nature, whether backpacking, camping, or simply taking a walk, always remember to leave no trace.
There it is.
Thanks again, and we will see you all next time. You call that a knife? This is a knife. You know what that's from?
Simpsons?
Yeah, what did she say? You call that a knife? This is a knife.
I remember the episode. I don't remember the...
That's not a knife. That's
Oh.
a spoon. Ah, I see you played knifey spoony
Oh,
before.
Good night, everyone.
And a dingo ate your baby.
There it is.
There it is. All right, bye. Crikey.